Cowboys game on Thursday as well. Adjusted work week schedule this week. So RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com joining us now here on the Buyers Barricades guest line. And we did this not knowing that Mike McCarthy was going to be in the news today because Jerry Jones said today, don't put it past him to sign that dude to an extension. When you first heard those words this morning coming out of Jerry Jones's mouth, RJ, what was your first reaction?
The first thing I pictured was not the debonairly dressed James Pledger today, but was the album cover for No Strings Attached, the seminal classic NSYNC album, because the album featured all 5 members as puppets that were like the mannequin puppets on the little strings or whatever. That's all we are. We're these dumb mouth-breathing puppets that really believe that Jerry Jones is considering extending Mike McCarthy. I feel like I'm finally seeing the forest through the trees on something like this, and that everybody else around me is just swapping up the sludge that Jerry's serving.
Well, the problem is, RJ, is that with Jerry Jones, you just don't have a clue what that man may do, whether it makes sense or not. And, I mean, who knows? I don't think so. I think Mike McCarthy is gone. I think he should be gone. But Jerry, just to be Jerry, could say, well, come on back for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of things that are true relative to this moment. One, they're all equally true. One, Mike McCarthy is the most successful Dallas Cowboys coach this century. It's better than Bill Parcells, better than Wade Phillips, certainly better than Jason Garrett. Obviously did not reach an NFC championship game, so in that sense, his tenure was a failure. It's also true that the Cowboys front office did not set him up very well, and that they gaslit and stirred the pot just about every opportunity that they could over the course of the offseason and the season to this point. It's also true that Mike McCarthy has really failed and has not done his job, even if he was set up poorly. And I think more than anything, it's true that Jerry Jones just likes to talk. This is a big week for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys with the Thanksgiving Day game, and to what you guys were talking about, obviously Texas A&M game. Like, football fever is at a different level in the state now. And so it just feels like he's doing what he can to, snatch whatever spotlight that is available. His whole thing, like, well, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. Was that not true in January when you didn't extend him then? I mean, did he win the Super Bowl or something like that? So I find it to be a little bit of blowing smoke up everybody.
I agree with that as we visit with RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. Although, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, while I do believe Mike McCarthy is a dead man walking, Jerry never held Jason Garrett accountable for injuries and things beyond the coach's control. So it wouldn't surprise me during the evaluation process if he took all these injuries into account and decided the offense last year was pretty good. This year, well, we had rookies on the offensive line, a bunch of injuries. All right, Mike, let's run it back. It wouldn't. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's Jerry Jones. It wouldn't surprise me. Plus, you replace somebody with somebody better, and who are the better options that are going to be out there?
I think that's well said, and that's really rooted in logic. What I would offer is that Jason Garrett was, born on third base in some respects with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
But to that point, he also was fortuitous in that his down years came when he still had time remaining on his contract. And the Joneses do not like to fire people and pay them to not work. Jason Garrett, his contract years with the Cowboys were 2014, which was, arguably his best season as the Cowboys head coach. Dez caught it, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And then 2019 when they didn't bring him back. So that Mike McCarthy's kind of down on his luck in a contract year is a bit of bad luck that didn't play Garrett specifically. But you're right. I mean, if you were willing to bring Jason Garrett back after losing to Mike McCarthy in the divisional round of the playoffs, what's to say you're not willing to bring Mike back? And to be fair, there's a low but still an existing sense of logic to doing that. Because you're right, Jason. You're going to fire Mike McCarthy or not bring him back to hire Mike Vrabel or Jason Witten or whatever else you want to believe at this point in time? That just feels like standing still right now.
Well, that would be interesting. And I'm not even sure Mike Vrabel, but a guy that a former player, they seem to be having some success these days, unless you're Gerard Mayo. But there are some players out there that maybe that's the way it's going. And I'm not saying Jason Witten is the guy, but the first thing I would do, RJ, and Jerry's not going to do this. I don't think he will do this, but you're anchored to a quarterback for the next 4 years. I think he should have some input on whether you want to keep McCarthy or not. And I hope Jerry has a sense to at least go talk to that man about the future of this team.
You know what, Joe? People accuse you of a lot of things, but you are the most reasoned person associated with the radio station, because that is an incredible point. I mean, you can sit here and you can laugh and you cannot think highly of Dak Prescott, which has certainly been the case for you at many different points. But the reality of the situation is you are tied to him, and you should absolutely consult him on what he likes and what he would prefer. Now, there is a limit to that, the value of that opinion. At the end of the day, he's still just a player, albeit the most important one on the roster. But what he wants and how he feels should absolutely matter. I felt that way after his rookie year. He was so fond of Mark Sanchez as his backup quarterback. And I said, do it. Like if he likes Mark, then Mark should be around. But to that same point, Dak and everybody else want curtains up in the building, and we all know how that conversation goes.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com here on the Blitz. The idea that they won the game Sunday, and you could, again, there was some bad coaching in that game. What the hell happened to Zimmer's defense late in that game? On the second kickoff return for a touchdown, a well-coached team, that dude Thomas would have just slid down, taken a knee, and not scored that touchdown. A well-coached team, that's what happens. And while we're talking about giving Mike McCarthy an extension, you look at all of that win. I don't know what to make of it, because that was a crappy football game with a wild ending. In your mind, good game, bad game for the Dallas Cowboys?
I think it's probably a good game, just relative to context and relative to the moment. But you're right. I mean, even, beyond everything that you said that is very fair. I mean, McCarthy, bro, we get it. You think the CeeDee Lamb jet sweep is going to unlock everything, and it's just not at this point in time. And so they keep swimming upstream that way. But I will say there is something impressive to a team that's able to survive the chaos that was the end of that game. I'm 100% with you, by the way, and maybe that makes me an old head now. I have no idea what Wanye Thomas is doing returning that kick. I miss me with, oh, you're lame. Oh, it's cool, whatever. They had literally just given up a one-play touchdown drive. And so you can talk about probabilities being small, whatever. You go from a win probability of 99.9% to 100% if you just fall down right there. And so those are the margins that right now they're missing. And I don't know that's really what's been their problem all season. But I think right now, and I'm sorry to, again, the debonairly addressed James Pledger, I think the last 2 weeks they've played some teams that are kind of frauds, that are maybe not as good as everybody thinks they are. That's why they hung tough with the Texans before, everything blew open. That's why they were able to hang on and beat a bad Commanders team.
Well, you could say the same for the San Francisco 49ers as we sit here today, right? I mean, that was a game that before Dak was out, that they hung with the 49ers. So that could very well be true. And RJ, I mean, if there's no way they lose to the Giants on Thursday, right?
I mean, this is the most this is the Murphy's Law of Dallas Cowboys, right? Like what can go wrong will, and in the most spectacularly diabolical and embarrassed fashion. When you think they've hit rock bottom, they will find a way. And I know that, the NFL, it moves fast and you win a game and all of a sudden everything quiets down, rightfully so. I think that they'll win. I think they'll cover. I feel ridiculous feeling that way given the way they've played in this building. And it is a 3:30 kickoff, obviously, so that sun will be a factor and will be something that is talked about on the broadcast. But I do think that they win. And I think they win because I think their season is going to be like a lot of their games, and that they just get blown out and smoked to the point that they're so far behind they can't really win. But then they start that little comeback and they make you feel like, holy crap, this is possible. And I tell you what, it's a long time between Thanksgiving and Monday Night Football of Week 14 the next time they play the game. And God willing, Jason Minnick won't be in the building to curse them that night. But I mean,
dude,
but
were you not in the building when they lost last time?
My track record isn't as bad as yours. That's what
whoa, wait a minute. Now, for 3 years, they did not lose when I was in the building. This year, It's been bad. It's been bad for everybody that has gone to watch them in that building in 2024. Nobody has seen them win in that building this calendar year.
Yeah, but you're 4 in a row, and that includes the playoffs.
Well, all right. So is, I don't know, Jerry, Brad Sham.
Well, you can't do anything about that. We can keep you away.
Mike McCarthy. I mean, anybody with season tickets. I mean, nobody. And even the games that I wasn't there were just as ugly. So, no.
To answer the question, I do think that they win. And I think that, when we all back on Monday and hopefully everybody's put away their leftovers by that point, they've got their first batch of Christmas tamales going. I think that I can promise you this. If they win on Thursday, on Friday morning, I will have an article and a video up talking about their path to the playoffs. And we will have a rooting guide up at bloggingtheboys.com.
Well, and again, though, playoffs, one thing. But we talked about this when the schedule came out. Yeah, we've talked about it with you. We've talked about it on the Blitz. When you look at this schedule, I think all of us thought if they were 500 at the bye, none of us would be surprised. And getting into Thanksgiving, now losing to Atlanta and Houston kind of jacked some things up. But if they were about a 500 team getting into this stretch of weak teams, they would have a chance. The 5-game losing streak kind of takes playoffs out of the picture. They're not a playoff team, but can they finish the season on a high? They can, because the back half of the schedule a lot easier, although Tampa Bay proving to be a better team than I think a lot of people thought they would be coming in.
I agree that Tampa's better. I would offer that they did just lose 4 in a row before playing this moribund Giants team. So, yeah, that's some interesting context. But maybe this also makes me old. Maybe that's just where I'm at in life right now. But to hell with the draft position. Like I don't have a problem if somebody wants to root for the tank. That's up to you. I mean, you should be able to fan however you want. Nobody should have the authority to tell you what's right and what's wrong. But I tell you what, like, beyond the fact that, I was emotionally stirred during the craziness of Sunday afternoon, it's fun. We spend all year waiting for this time, for these moments. And I am also excited that CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, that they were the people specifically who said, nah, hell no, we're not going out like this. We're going to stand tall and we're going to put up a fight, and we're going to take some people down with us at the very least. That is what you want to see from your franchise cornerstones, whether it's for Mike McCarthy next year or Jason Witten or Bill Belichick or Jason Minix if he manages to get a different spot for his season ticket appearances in AT&T Stadium.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, right? Because, look, I think they win this game this week, but then I'll be honest with you, that Cincinnati team could put up 80 on that Cowboys secondary. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying the Bengals are that good, but that offense is solid, and it's going to be tough, and that could be another embarrassing home loss. You just don't know about this team, and if anybody thinks you trust them even to beat the Giants this week completely, I don't know. I don't know what you've been smoking.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think this Bengals team is sometimes you're not as good as your record says you are, or you're worse than your record says you are, whatever the case. I don't think the Bengals are quite as bad as their record says that they are. They've just, caught some unfortunate breaks. So a lot of that is their fault, certainly. But you could totally see it going a bad way. That game is on the Simpsons alternate cast. Like, tell me you can't see a meme of, like, Cooper Rush as Homer Simpson, like, throwing a pick six or something like that, and that's just living on forever. So the Bengals are probably the last team in this little run before the Eagles, obviously, that scares me the most. But, I mean, you could still lose 8 games. I'm not saying they can win every single one other than that, but for what it's worth, there are 5 teams since 2008 who were 4-7 or worse through 11 games and managed to reach the playoffs. Now, all 5 of them, including one from each of the last 2 years, including these Buccaneers, all 5 of them won their division, and it was a subpar, poor division, which allowed them to be a playoff team in general, and I don't think they'll be able to do that this year. But there is precedent, and like I said, on Friday morning, if they win on Thanksgiving Day, that precedent will be rather loud.
Bloggingtheboys.com. Wake up early Friday and read the Cowboys' path to the playoffs.
Path to the playoffs.
I mean, RJ's probably already written it.
He's writing it right now. He is
schedule sent that thing to post on Friday morning after the Cowboys get the win. RJ, we've been friends a long time, and I don't know if a lot of our listeners know, but you're back in college. You're taking online classes at the Cronkite School at Arizona State University. Technically classmates with my daughter, since she is also going to Arizona State. So today, it's cold. I put on an Arizona State half zip, and I'm getting destroyed in the comments because it looks like Washington colors. Which it's Arizona State. Do you deal with this? How do you deal with this with morons that think, because they can't apparently see the Sun Devil, they can't see Sparky on the shirt, they see the colors and think I've jumped ship. And if I were to ever jump ship, I promise you it wouldn't be to Washington.
Yeah, I feel a sense of awkwardness because the most popular Sun Devil uniform is the gold pants with the maroon jersey. So, I mean, they really look like Washington in that sense.
And I technically hate all teams with yellow pants. I prefer when they don't wear yellow pants.
Exactly. I'm with you. I think Washington's better look is with the white pants. That's well said and well founded. I think that Kenny Dillingham is helping you out because I think in 2 weeks' time, when the Sun Devils are Big 12 champions, I think people will understand that the color scheme represents a winner and a proud winner, a positive winner, a legitimate winner in Arizona State, not in that loser team in our nation's capital. And so it is an exciting time. I will say this is also controversial. I don't know how well you were paying attention. I kind of am with Kenny Dillingham on the way he handled the end of that game against BYU with the weird, trying to run out the clock stuff. So it's a big week. Those loser Wildcats are going down, and then Arizona State's playing at AT&T Stadium for the Big 12 title. Please don't go to that game either.
Dude, are you going to go to that game?
My family and I already have travel arrangements for that weekend, so I won't be able to. But I would have if not.
You can adjust. You're fine.
We'll see tonight. And obviously, the college football playoffs going to change, 2 times over. But I will tell you this: if Arizona State is in Columbus for a playoff game, that will be very difficult to not go to. How often could you say you saw that in life? Never.
Well, it's never happened before, but I mean, you've never been to a game in Tempe.
That's what I'm saying. What a great way for my christening to go check it out in Columbus.
You should actually at one point walk on campus there as Arizona State and go get some incredible drinks at the many bars on Mill Street.
Yeah, but don't take your wife if you walk on campus. And certainly wear your sunglasses, my friend.
It is.
It's a beautiful campus, if you know what I mean.
It's a great time to be a Sun Devil and a horrible time to be a Wildcat. Any kind of Wildcat, honestly, playing the Sun Devils, given what happened to Kansas State a couple of weeks back. So it's the best time of the year. It's the best week of the year. Obviously, especially with the madness and the chaos that is college football these days. I told you both last year because I didn't know I was going to be on. Very thankful for your friendship, your mentorship, all your guidance and grace that you've provided me over the years. As you mentioned, Jason, I hope you and your families and your children have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you celebrate accordingly, eat some delicious food, and I hope you each take a very, very well-deserved nap because you work hard, and you tell your wife that I said that and that you deserve some time off.
Hey, RJ, I just want to say from the Blitz, tell your son happy birthday. Will you do that?
I will, yeah. It was a wonderful weekend. He had the nerve to be born like at the busiest time of my work year, and so it made this week a little bit intense to start. We had a great time. I can't believe he's 3 years old. You all told me that being a dad would be the best thing ever, and you were completely right. It is truly the best thing ever, and we had a great time celebrating him.
He's going to be a Cowboy fan, right?
Well, he's raised right.
He already is.
He's being raised right.
I'm just saying sometimes they can go astray and take a look at those Eagles or something else.
That kid likes to eat. He doesn't have an option.
2 things as I go. He has these multiple sets of little mini helmets. Outside of the Cowboys, he has a favorite one that he likes to play with, and it is the Ravens. He feels called to the Ravens. But as his father, I have taught him not to call the Eagles helmet the Eagles. When he grabs it, in the cutest little 3-year-old voice now, he says, "Yucky."
Yucky.
Yeah.
You're raising them right. RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com. Happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget, people, Friday morning, RJ Ochoa will have the Cowboys road to the playoffs. Forks up, my friend.
Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Just caught it.
RJ Ochoa, yes, he did. On the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond, online at buyersbarricades.com.